Good evening and welcome. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy wherever you may be. My name is Chris Chalk, and I'll be facilitating tonight's online meeting. I'm speaking to you from my office in Vancouver, which is within the traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, to whom I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. I'm from a company called Kirk & Co. We specialize in communications and engagement, and we are supporting the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure with this engagement process. As you will know, this session is being hosted by the ministry to provide background and information about the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects, to discuss what is happening at each of impacted project sites, and an opportunity for you to ask questions and provide comments. The purpose of tonight's presentation, which I'll show here, is to outline climate action for BC's roads, introduce the 10 projects, discuss the process that each of the projects is going through in determining long-term solutions, provide updates about the status of those sites, and then a fair amount of time for questions and comments from you. Encourage you to follow along at home in a discussion guide, which is available at the project website. I will pop both the discussion guide and the website into the chat shortly here. While you're at that website, you can fill out a feedback form. And this is an engagement period that opened on March 14th and runs until March 31st. And so the online feedback form will be open through that period. We wish we could have been with you in person. This meeting was scheduled some time ago, and certainly in the next time that the team is out, we'd like to be in person with you. But there are ways that you can stay engaged with the project right now online. I will note, and you may see it on your screen, that the presentation will be recorded, and we will make the recording of the presentation portion available on the project's website so that anybody, friends, families, neighbors who are unable to be here tonight would have an opportunity to see the presentation portion of this evening. We will have a presentation first from Greg Bruce, who is the program director for the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects. And then the balance of the time will be for comments and questions. We will get through as many comments and questions as we can tonight, but you'll see there's a written Q&A. There's a Q&A tab in Zoom webinar. If you populate questions in there, if we don't get to them, we will respond to them in writing through a document posted on the website. Just want to let you know that. I will go over the other ways you can ask questions after the presentation. I do also want to note that there are 10 project managers who are listening in tonight. These are the individuals who are responsible for each of the 10 projects. Some of you may have already met them through their work over the past few months, coming up with temporary access and so on. But if you haven't, you'll hear tonight how to contact them. Encourage you to reach out to them, ask questions about projects, and specifically if there is anything to do with private property. Those are the best people to talk to about the individual projects. With that, I will turn things over to Greg Bruce to go through the presentation, and I'll be back to guide you through the question and answer a little later on. Greg.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I'm honored to be speaking to you from the unceded traditional territory of the Lheidli-T'enneh First Nation to discuss the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects, which are located within the traditional territories of the Secwepemc and Silkatine and Dakel First Nations. I invite you to think about the territory you live and play in as well. My name is Greg Bruce. I'm the program director for the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedules to be with us tonight. We wish that we were meeting, like Chris said, in person. Unfortunately, just, things are obviously opening up, but at this time when we were planning the project, the engagement, we really had to go towards a virtual engagement to ensure we could connect. And it feels like we're going to be getting back to, face-to-face sooner than later, and that's something I certainly look forward to. Before I get into my background, I'd also like to emphasize that tonight is part of a conversation, one that will be ongoing beyond this public engagement period. We look forward to your questions and comments, not just tonight, but throughout the development of these projects. Prior to this role, I was serving as the regional manager for for the northern region, overseeing the capital program and preservation program with projects spanning across the top half of the province. I also served as the director of the Highway 29 realignment and also the Taylor Bridge project as well. So during my time with the ministry, I've also been involved in the recovery from 2 flood events in the Peace region in 2011 and 2016. So some good experience that I bring to this program as well. I joined the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects as program director, taking over from Murray Takano. So Murray's on the call tonight, and he's going to be moving on to new endeavors. And Murray's got us in a good place. He's played a significant role on infrastructures across BC, including delivery of the Vancouver Island Highway, and also serving as director of the Kicking Horse program as well, just to name a couple of the more significant programs that Murray's been involved in. I want to thank Murray for his leadership and his work on these projects to get them where they are today. We have a great team assembled, and as we continue our work forward in developing long-term solutions. Before I get into the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects themselves, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that the entire province, and particularly the Cariboo region, has been impacted by extreme weather events. The Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure has continued to evolve our strategy to consider this important factor. For work planned around the province, it is a requirement for the ministry's design engineers and our consultants to consider how future climate events will affect infrastructure and what can be done to make our roads and bridges more resilient so they remain reliable and open. Examples include pile driving bridge footings, upsizing culverts, bridging areas of concern where culverts are no longer suitable, redesign of drainage channels for future flow and better armoring of slopes. This approach means appropriate climate adaptation is considered over the entire design life of our infrastructure. To support this, the provincial government, with federal support, has made significant investments since 2017, totaling $580 million province-wide and $230 million in the Cariboo alone. Currently, $146 million has been committed to the Cariboo Road Recovery Projects for engineering work and for 9 sites and construction of 1 site, the Kersley Landing. That's a very significant commitment that really is important for the program. As mentioned off the top, the Cariboo region has been impacted by extreme weather events, leading to an increase of water in the ground and landslides since 2020. The Cariboo Road Recovery Projects were formed in the spring of 2021 to deliver safe, reliable, long-term, and climate-resilient solutions for road impacts caused by these forces of nature. To get there, we're going through a thorough technical process and have built a team that includes a broad cross-section of professional experts. We'll also be engaging with and consulting with local residents, Indigenous communities, local governments, road users, and stakeholders to ensure we consider various needs and interests. We appreciate the immediate needs of road users are a priority. Decisions surrounding keeping roads open or establishing permanent alternative access can have a significant impact on one's daily life. We are committed to minimizing these impacts with the caveat that safety has to be first and foremost considered. We have worked to stabilize routes, restoring roads where possible, or establishing alternate routes for while we are working towards long-term solutions. Some examples have included interim paving to improve the drivability of roads, drainage improvements, and in the case of Kersley Landing, the construction of a temporary access road. To deliver long-term solutions, the ministry is undergoing a thorough multi-phase and technical-driven process. We are currently in phase 2 of a 4-phase process. Phase 1 was a problem definition and needs assessment. During this phase, our teams considered existing, future, and project conditions at each site to help inform the direction of potential options. During phase 2, concept generation and shortlisted option evaluation, we're going through a technical analysis and looking at a number of options at each site. These options are being assessed against multiple criteria to help narrow our list as we head into the next phase. In phase 3, shortlisted options will be put through a detailed analysis known as a multiple count evaluation process, which I will talk about more on the next slide. This will allow us to identify a preferred solution to be presented to government for approval to advance to the next phase. The final phase is implementation. Following approval by government, we will develop work plans to deliver projects. So there are a number of criteria that the ministry uses to evaluate potential investments in roads. This is one of the topics that we're seeking your input about during this engagement. As with any important decision, there are a number of factors that can influence the ultimate direction you move forward with. This process is no different. In the discussion guide, you'll find a description of these 5 criteria, but here I will give you a brief overview. So economic development examines the impact of the project on the economy. Some of the things we look at include existing economic activity, like goods movement, and potential development for industries that use these roads. Customer service looks at the costs and the benefits of the projects to the highway users. Here we're considering things that impact road users like travel time. We're looking at how a decision will impact your daily life, like the amount of time it takes you to get to work or to school, or how the grade of a road may impact cattle movement, as a couple of examples. Under social and community, we'll examine noise and visual impacts, pollution impacts, land acquisition needs, community connectivity, and consistency with community plans. Environmental considers impacts of the project on the surrounding environment. We'll look at land requirements, vehicle emissions, wildlife habitat, and water and fisheries. Finally, financial looks at the life cycle costs of the projects. Here we examine capital costs of building the infrastructure and costs for periodic rehabilitation, operation, and maintenance. As you'll see in the feedback form, we're looking to hear how important these things are to you as we explore potential solutions and specific examples of how the road impacts have affected you. I will now be going through a brief overview of each of the 10 sites. For detailed information on each site, I'd encourage you to check out our discussion guide, which is available on the website. As part of the next series of slides, we'll be showcasing some potential options for discussion purposes only. These by no means represent final alignments. Further investigations, feedback, and other considerations will all play a role as we move towards a preferred option. At each of the 10 sites, we are undertaking geotechnical monitoring to continuously evaluate the slide area and measure ground movement, including semi-annual aerial LiDAR surveys. These ongoing measurements will help in finding long-term solutions. So I've talked about our discussion guide and our feedback form, and I just add one little piece for you. If you just simply Google Quesnel Road Recovery, you'll find our website, and that'll connect you to the feedback form. That'll also connect you to the discussion guide as well. So those are the same, very similar materials to what we're looking at tonight. So if you know folks that haven't made this presentation, Chris outlined it already earlier, but I just wanted to emphasize that there's still that opportunity to see the information and then provide the feedback to us. So we're looking at the Quesnel-Hixon Road slide here, and this particular slide is it's illustrative of how we've shared each of the project sites. So you can see on this slide here that there are pictures showing the impact of the road. I know people live in all different parts of the Cariboo, and perhaps there's people on here that don't even live in the Cariboo, and it just helps with understanding the impact of these slides. So in the top left-hand corner of the images, there's a picture of the heaving within the road. The top right shows some of the slide, not the entire slide. And then finally at the bottom, there's a picture of the Cottonwood River Canyon Bridge that is connected to this site. So along the left-hand side of each of these project slides is some information around the location of the slide, the size of the slide. You can see this one at 10.3 hectares, and also the date of the damage and the current status, as well as potential solutions. And then I'll draw your attention to the bottom left-hand corner. And like I say, each slide that starts off the project discussion is similar. You can see the project manager on this one is Rob Struthers, and you can see his contact information listed there. And again, like I said, you don't have to hurry to write that down. You can find that on our website as well. And for project direct specific information, the project manager is going to be the best contact. So that's we're happy to share that with people, and we do want to connect with you even outside of this forum. So the next slide is a illustration of the slide itself. That's the red highlighted area. The green alignment is the existing road, the impacted road. And then the purple and the blue alignments, they're a little wider. Those are options that we're looking at, and they're wide intentionally because those are areas that we need to understand a lot more about before we start defining a right-of-way, for example. We need to do a bit more field investigation for sure to understand what we'd be looking at. So what we share here is a sense of options that we're looking at for the project, and we're going to do that as we move through the project by project. Next, we're at the Cottonwood Hill. So this presentation is going from north to south, so just people understand the order of presentation. So the next project we're going to look at, Highway 97 at Cottonwood Hill. Again, you can see the yellow alignment is the highway, the existing highway. We've got the red slide there that's again highlighted. And then you've got three other options that again show alternate alignments that are being considered for that project. Next, we've got the Blackwater Road at Knickerbocker Road. So again, just going to walk you through the images. So we've got a slide that picture in the slide shows the slide mass, well, part of one of the slide masses below the Blackwater Road going into the Fraser River. You can see some of the temporary resurfacing that we did through the project in the fall of 2021. And then as well, you can see the LiDAR imagery is the bottom image, and you can see we actually had that on, we've taken LiDAR images throughout the course of the last year, and then we compare the LiDAR imagery to one another, and it allows us to see that the red essentially is land that's moved down, and blue is land that's moved up. So it just helps illustrate that movement within the slide. And I think you can see that it's actually quite a big area and encompasses two slides. So we've got the garbage dump slide and the North Fraser slide. They're both within that area. And project manager on this project is Catherine Bartlett. And you can see the information along the left-hand side. So this is just 9 kilometers from Quesnel down the Blackwater Road. And we understand this, I'll speak a little bit about the use of the road. We understand this is a very important resource road, as well as connecting a number of residences to the community of Quesnel. And we understand the importance of this corridor, absolutely. The next slide is just showing some alignment information. So the yellow alignment is the existing road. You can see two red shaded areas that are the slide partway along that yellow alignment. You can see a gray shaded area that are areas that if we were to require to cross the Fraser River, those are potential crossing areas that we've identified. We've also got Pinnacle Road on here as well, and that's highlighted. I recognize that it's a challenging route. It's got some issues on its own. It's shared between the ministry and the community in terms of ownership, and certainly not something that I would consider an ideal route, but certainly is an option in terms of emergency access or alternative access, and that is an area that we're looking at as part of this study. Next, we have the Quesnel-Hydraulic Road, and again, walking you through the images. So the top left shows the slide over top of the road there. You can see the massive impact on the road. You can see some of the drilling activities in the top right-hand corner. And then on the bottom, you can see some of that LiDAR activity, again, movement through the slide. You can see that the slide itself that impacted the road is actually part of a much larger landslide movement. So lots to look at there. The area of slide in this case is 13 hectares, so pretty significant in size. Our project manager on this project is Paul Ray. And again, there's his contact information for anyone that's looking to connect directly with Paul. This is a slide that I will highlight that this one has caused very, very significant impacts for the people that are on the south side of the slide. I recognize it's the current detour through French Road has had its challenges, and this is certainly one that is all projects are getting our priority, but this is one that I certainly recognize has really got very significant impacts. This slide is talking about options, and you can see French Road there in purple. That's the existing access that's being provided. And the yellow alignment, you can see the red shaded area where the road is closed there. And then also Garvin Road is identified as well as an option, and that's potentially coming back across the river to connect with Quesnel-Hydraulic Road. And then finally on the left-hand side of the current alignment, you can see again a broader swath that would consider an alternate route across that land segment. Next, we've got Bastin Hill and Bastin Road. This, of course, is very close to the Quesnel-Hydraulic site. It's 22 kilometers south of Quesnel. As you can see some imagery of some of the slides, and again, some of the work that we've done there to improve drainage and work on the site itself. Our project manager on this project is Tyler Liu. We've got his contact information there. It's a smaller slide. It's 3.5 hectares. Very challenging. There's limited opportunities for crossing this grade. We'll just jump to the next slide. And this illustrates some of the options that we're looking at. So certainly the existing alignment, and then 3 other alignments that are again wider swaths that are areas that we are looking at as considerations for alternate alignments through that area. Next, we've got Durrell Road. Durrell Road, again, I'm going to go back down to the LiDAR imagery at the bottom. You can see a significant amount of movement. This one, because the trees have been removed for the field there, you can actually see right in the photo lots of cracking in the ground there and the slide itself. It's again a very big impact to the residents. There's a alternative route to Highway 97 and a closure at this location that again is causing lots of disruption. Wayne Bizik is our project manager on this project, and I know that he's connected with property owners along Durrell Road and certainly others that are looking to connect with Wayne. We encourage you to do that. So Durrell Road, this is again the options that we're looking at right now. So we've got the existing alignment with the landslide identified on it in blue, and then we've got an alternative alignment with Brotherhood Road that we're also looking at as well. So Kersley-Dale Landing Road. This is, of course, people would know the road was cut off. Residents were cut off from their homes. Very significant impact to the people that lived on Kersley-Dale Landing Road. Really, really pleased that the team under Murray was able to reestablish a temporary access. You can see pictures of that construction as well as some traffic lights that are installed. One segment of that temporary access is single lane alternating, so those lights allow people to safely traverse through that without oncoming traffic. So this one, 20 kilometers south of Quesnel, it's a lot of work has been done there. Dave Shabata is the project manager. And again, I'm just going to go to the next slide and we'll start looking at some alignments. Before I look at the other alignments, this one is interesting in that the current alignment again is in yellow. And if you follow that yellow line along down the screen, you can see the number of slides that all impacted Kersley-Dale Landing Road in that event. So a very, very significant event that caused that closure. And you can see the alternate alignments that we're considering in this project and moving forward with to date. So Cuisson Creek is 46 kilometers south of Quesnel. This is a slide that the ministry has been keeping a very close eye on for many years. You can see the proximity to Highway 97 there. And this, like all of these slides, is a historic slide that's been ongoing for some time. So that's an important thing to note with this program, is that these are all areas that have been prone to landslide over the years. 2020 and 2021 just happened to trigger much more severe movement in the slides, and really that's what's gotten us to today, where we're at the stage we're at. So this project, it's like I said, it's threatening Highway 97. Bill Leach is the project manager on this project, and we'll just go to the next slide, and I'll just talk a little bit about alignment. So again, on this one, I'm gonna point to the red shaded areas. You can see the number of slides on the right hand side that are threatened. See as well 2 slides that are slightly away from the alignment, but the left hand one being very close to Church Road, and that road, as well as some other infrastructure, is being threatened by that slide. And Church Road is actually part of this project, so both alignments will be taking a hard look at both and solutions for both of them. You can see that we have a number of alignments. These, again, they do consider the existing alignment as well as 3 other alignments. And again, they're wider swaths, just taking into consideration that there's some work to be done to refine a preferred option, and finally a right away through that option. Next is Soda Creek MacAlister Road. You can see the road is it's closed, and it has been closed for some time. It's 32 kilometers north of Williams Lake, and it's it's taken out the road, and we've got a stability issue there that we're still considering. Wayne Bizek is the project manager on this. I'm going to jump to the next slide and just walk you through what we're looking at for options on that. So we are looking at the existing alignment that you can see in purple, and we're also looking at another alignment just above the rail that would take you across the same terrain to take to the other side. So next we'll move on to Hodgson Creek and Highway 20 at Hodgson and Dog Creek Road. This one, again, we've got some good LiDAR imagery here. So you can see lots of movement there all across that slide. Along the top is the highway, and then starting from the left side and traversing to the right is Dog Creek Road. Our right of way, of course, is the highway and Dog Creek Road we share with the municipality. So on the top, you can see some reprofiling that we did. There was some shoving in the highway that we shaved off the top of it, reprofiled it, paved it, got it ready for winter to provide a better running surface to the winter for maintenance and for drivers. You can see some investigation. We've had drills out across the program working on these slides. And Brian Taylor's the project manager for this one. This one is a bit of a different project in that we're looking at alternate alignments on all of the other projects. In this case, I'm just going to jump to the next slide, and you can see a polygon here, and this is the study area. So this is a complicated jurisdictional project because it's actually got ownership between the municipality and the regional district and the ministry, and we've also got utilities in this area as well that also have to address their issues with the slide. All 4 parties have been taking different looks at this slide. What we're doing with this program is we're bringing all 4 parties together, and we want to work collectively on this to look at what long-term improvements solutions would look like, and to move forward from there. So like I say, the other ones, it's highway right away that we're dealing with, and in this case it's a bit wider. It's involving multiple parties, and it's you can see in the imagery here, we've got a lot of work going on. There's been a lot of work that's happened, and some of that's reflected here as well. So some hydrological investigation, a lot of geotechnical investigation. We're just excited to finally, I know this has been an ongoing issue, and again, you can see just from the imagery that it's taking an entire part of the community is involved in this slide, and certainly very, very concerning. So we're we're excited that we can step forward and step up and play a leadership role in this one. So That's the Hodgson slide.
Great. Thanks very much, Greg, for the presentation. And we'll move to comments and questions. And just before we do that, just a quick reminder that Greg is here to answer questions about the approach to exploring the solutions. And I know there will be a lot of questions about project-specific sites. We do encourage you, if you haven't already been in touch with project managers, to do that. This is, as Greg said earlier, this is not. This is the beginning of a conversation that will take place over the course of the development of these projects. So will be lots of opportunities to interact with the ministry and project team.